Have you ever woken up in the morning to tell the first person that you can, hey, I had the weirdest dream last night? Um, and then you spend the rest of the day wondering what that dream meant and thinking about dreams in general. You have? Brilliant. Then you're going to love today's Conversations with Kylie. I'm your host, Kylie Savage Psychic, and today I have with me the lovely and amazing Pam Muller. Pam, you're a dream expert, and I'll go further into your bio, but I'll just say welcome and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Kylie. I'm excited about our conversation.
Terrific. So, Pam, you're a dream expert, a trained spiritual director who studied the language of dreams and the dreaming mind for 15 years. And we always got to add ongoing, isn't it?
Yes.
And we've got to bring everything to that. Now you use your expertise to assist people to see dreams as an intimate guidance source and as a connection point to the divine. Now, I just love that, and I actually got to know you from a podcast, and then I followed you up and booked a call with you, and we have met on Zoom before. And I was just so impressed with you and the work that you do. And I would love for you to tell myself and our audience more about you and your work.
Thank you for that lovely introduction. We did have a lovely time on our call. So I am a dream expert, and one doesn't come by that directly or easily, really. It came about for me through my own dark night of the soul, I'll say, where I was doing some deep soul searching, and I stumbled into a genuine curiosity about my dreams, and I started playing with them. And the more I would get curious, the more my dreams would share with me, the more I started to learn that this is actually a native language of my unconscious mind. And then I set about, how do I do this for a living? Because then once I was into dreams, I was hooked. I'm like, everybody needs to know that this is a source of wisdom for them. And so I followed the path of just starting to do dream sharing groups, and I just wanted to keep talking about dreams as much as I could. And then eventually I found my way to a training program for spiritual direction. And there's this school called the Hayden Institute, and they train spiritual directors through the lens of Christian mysticism and Jungian psychology and dream groups. And I was like, this is my home. I am home. And so I went through their certification course to become a trained spiritual director. And what I learned in that 2-year program is I had already developed a pretty good understanding of the language of the dreaming mind and dreaming psychology. But what I learned as I was training to be a spiritual director was the importance and the sacredness of holding a safe listening space for people to explore what their dreams mean for themselves. And then following that conversation into whatever soul development comes about as a result of that. So that is what I do now. My private practice is called Sweet Georgia Pam, and I offer one-on-one dream interpretation sessions and spiritual direction sessions. And I'm a former school teacher, so I'm always putting out new lessons about dreams and dream wisdom, and just kind of tricks and dream hacks about how to understand that language for yourself. So that's, yeah.
I've got to say, I love your website. It's so easy to follow. It's really well put out. So if anyone's interested in understanding, for spiritual biz about how to organize their website, things like that, I love those click on tabs. You can just go straight to what it is and book your session, everything. The Hayden Institute, it sounds like a dream school, like literally. And when it said Jung, I was there, and I was like, psychology and dreaming. Because I think with this field, you can sort of there isn't as many spaces that connect worlds, like pedagogies and things like that, and
Mhm.
schools of knowledge. So bringing dreaming in, which it does have a good relationship with psychology, but
Mhm.
matching it with spirituality, and sort of bringing more things together and integrating them. I really feel like that's the way forward. And
Absolutely.
for unlocking, so dreams don't stay, solely in the domain of spirituality or solely in psychology, like bridging things and bringing them together. It just
Mhm.
seems so much more practical. And I feel like that opens the door for people who are like, oh, a lot of people, and I really don't like to say this, but they're like, oh, I don't believe in dreams. And it's like, you don't need to believe in it. It's something that happens to you every night, whether you remember it or not.
Mhm.
I know for myself, I found a few good dreaming books, but yeah, I didn't have that other piece, the psychological piece enough.
Mhm.
So yeah, seeing something like that is just fantastic. I was going to say too, and I love your socials. So you're on TikTok, you're on Instagram, and I love your reels. You're really clever with that. Even the other day on the trampoline, that was fun.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I needed to change it up. So I was climbing on the trampoline. I'm like, we should witness this. So I got out the
Exactly.
camera.
Why not? No, I love
Yeah.
that. You're bringing
Yeah.
us
Thank
into your
you.
world
Yeah.
and making it, easily accessible and fun, which is terrific. Okay, so now this question, I was digging a little bit deep, so I feel like this is a very intuitive, inspired question.
Okay.
So often our arrival in the field of spirituality and in spiritual biz, like you've touched on, is deeply connected to our own personal stories. So, would you like to dig a little bit deeper into that dark night of the soul, maybe? You brought
Mhm.
that one up.
Mhm.
Would you like to share a little of how you came to be where you are today, and what your spiritual path has been like?
Oh, I would always like to share a little bit of my story of
Cool.
how I came to be
Excellent.
where I am. I my dark night of the soul crisis in my life was infertility. So I grew, and now I'm going to tie spirituality into this. So I'm going to hop around a little bit, but
No
hopefully
worries.
it'll come together with a nice, neat bow, God willing. Um, but I grew up in a very happy, functional household. I was raised Catholic, but the
Hmm.
way that my family viewed church is that really our family gatherings were church, and then we sometimes made it to church on Sundays too.
Yeah.
So we went as a big family, but all of my understanding of a divine being and what love means came from my loving family upbringing. So I I jokingly say, like, I had this very blessed upbringing, and one time in college where I, was out on my own and kind of exploring what I want to do with my life. And um, I went to this lecture in the evening, late in the evening, some big, profound, inspirational speaker. I don't even remember who it was, but I remember being so moved by the this talk. And I remember being in the audience, and everybody in the audience was just like on their feet, and I had chills and I was crying. Again, don't even remember what the topic was. But I came home from that experience knowing with great conviction that that's what I wanted to do with my life. I
Mhm.
wanted to move people the way that I was moved,
Yeah.
but I was 19 and
Mhm.
I knew I did not have any hardships in my life. And so I cried because
Mhm.
my life, I was like, I have no difficulties from which to build my character, from which to tell my stories. It was such an innocent, like, moment of awakening for me as a young, college kid. And so, fast forward about 6 years, i'm I'm out as a young adult, happily married. I'm a school teacher, elementary school teacher. And we start trying to start our family. And in the span of that first year, my younger sister got pregnant, she and I were best friends. We were going to do the pregnancy thing together. So she
Yeah.
gets pregnant, her first month of trying. And my older sister, who already had 2 children, got pregnant accidentally. And so the 2 of them were pregnant together.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, good, Pam, your turn. Like, here we go. All 3 of us. Isn't this wonderful? And then it didn't happen for me. And so pretty quickly after trying to start my family, I was plunged right into like a very cold awakening of infertility. So my journey was 5 years of trying to conceive. And it eventually took us going to infertility clinic, and we had infertility assistants, and we did get pregnant and gave birth. My son is 12 and he's amazing and perfect. But that successful birth was then also followed by 3 more years of secondary infertility. So for 8 years, I was plunged into this really cold space of unknown darkness. And all of the beliefs about the divine for me, some of this I'm just saying for the first time, by the way, all of the beliefs about the divine were wrapped up in family.
Yeah.
My family was my church, and here I am not able to start my family. So my belief system fell from underneath me. It just broke apart, and I was just kind of on the floor. Like, I don't know what to do now. I don't have any beliefs that are working.
Yeah.
So it was in that space when I started to have funky dreams. And honestly, Kylie, it's what you said at the beginning, which is I woke up and I was like, well, that was weird. I had the strangest dream. And for once, we had something to talk about that wasn't my dark story, because I wasn't willing or interested in talking about fertility at that time, or infertility at the time. It was so hard. I was in the middle of it.
Yeah.
But dreams were this side gate to my issues, but I didn't know that's what I was doing. I was just telling this weird story about baby seahorses.
Yeah.
And so that's how dreams hooked me. Was they very slowly reintroduced my own story back to me. And over the course, this is of course several years, but what happened was I started to trust my dreams. I started to trust my dreams more than I trusted myself. I started to trust my dreams more than I trusted what my doctors were telling me. I started to trust my dreams more than anybody's suggestion about just relax and it'll happen. You know what? All of the sources of data in my life weren't working, including my own thoughts and ideas. But my dreams were inexplicably telling me true things. And so honestly, I think that's why now, years later, I'm so passionate about helping people understand that they can take their dreams seriously and it's not nuts.
Yes.
So now I have a trusted source in me of unwavering truth. And luckily, I know how to interpret the language that they're presenting them in, because it's not literal. It's not literal stuff, but it is a version of my truth. So slowly, I built my belief in the divine back, but it was from internal experiences. I started with my dreams of all things, and then slowly started to recognize that that the language of the dreaming mind, which is metaphorical and symbolic, is the same language that all of the wisdom traditions, all of the religions and faiths share about how spirit communicates.
Yeah.
How the divine communicates. It's metaphor, it's symbolism, and it's all pre-verbal stuff.
Yeah. Wow, that is so powerful. And thank you for sharing that, and for taking us on that journey in there with you. Because, it's making me think about like my own dream work and things that I've done, and my own spirituality and connection to the divine. And I love that. I love too that you had such a great family upbringing. Like like a lot of people sort of think that too. Like I have my own story of complex trauma and childhood trauma. But I mean, this is my saying, is there are as many paths to the divine as there are people. Like there
Mm,
has to be.
yeah.
So it's like, people could relate to that story because, sometimes people have these preconceived notions about spirituality and they think, oh, you have to have had some tragedy, to bring you to the divine. And yet you don't. Like
Yeah.
you can have a crisis. Crisis can be the catalyst, but it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be. And,
Right.
I've worked with a lot of people, know a lot of people who've been on spiritual paths, and it's like they think if their experience doesn't match someone else's exactly, they think they're not having an experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
Mm-hmm.
no, you
Mm-hmm.
are. But I love that how you took us into that, saying, it's these experiences you had within, and that it is such an intimate connection, isn't it, between ourselves and our dreams? And
Yeah.
like say, what blew me away about dreams and finding out about dream language is also the universality of that dream language.
Mm-hmm.
So we do need to understand what dreams mean for us personally, because
Mm-hmm.
our dreams are unique. And
Right.
yet it's the both and there is also this source that we can tap into, this language that other people have written about and shared. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, I think that that's something too that people are looking for. They don't want to just go to a dream dictionary and look up what it means, even though that's really helpful. I still do that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, okay, in the context of my own life and what I'm experiencing, what does this dream mean to me?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes a dream can be about one thought that just zoomed through your head during the day, and a whole dream story will open up. And it's like, it's not until, I mean, I'm not sure about you, but I feel like for me, I need a process, and it's got to involve writing. I've got to record, or journal that dream in some way for it, because I'll be writing something and it will just unfold. I'll be like, yes, that's exactly what my dream meant. And since our call and everything, I've been dreaming a lot more vividly and remembering them and writing my dreams again. And
Good.
I was like, yeah, like, and just knowing that you, I like to think of the dreaming self as a self. You have your waking self and your dreaming self. Just acknowledging that there is another witness to your life,
Mm-hmm.
and it can all unfold and enrich your life so much.
Yeah.
We could just go on forever. But anyway, I'd like to ask, so when people can get in touch with you and they can book a session or have a call. So when somebody does that, what kind of experience can people expect when they work with you?
Mm-hmm.
And what's kind of I mean, I suppose it depends on the service that they're coming to you for, but
Mm-hmm.
what is like the outcome that you're aiming to achieve in your time together?
Mm. It's actually not that different between dream work and spiritual direction,
Hmm.
because it's the symbolic and the metaphorical is that line that I'm monitoring for and looking for, and we follow that thread. It
Hmm.
can weave in and out of dream space and waking space, just as easily. In fact, it's been a lot of people that think they're coming to me for dream work end up not doing dreams very often and just really talking about their stuff or talking about some strange thing that happened, and they want to look for that spiritual, they want to look at it through that spiritual lens.
Yeah.
So when people come to me in session, be it dream work or spiritual direction, although we're probably, let's go with dreams for today.
Hmm.
um, the joy for me is that I get to follow their lead,
Yeah.
and they get to bring the dream, and they don't know what they're bringing either. So
Yeah.
when we have a dream, somebody brings a dream to me,
Hmm.
it's like I'm a tour guide, but we're touring a place inside their own psyche and unconscious. And so
Hmm.
my job is what you said, is to look for the universality, because I have a good grasp on what the general language rules are
Yeah.
in this land. Generally a car represents how you see yourself moving through life, and generally, if it's daytime, that's something that you're more consciously aware of. If it's nighttime, that's something that's still in the unconscious that you're still unaware of. And so there are these generalities.
Yeah.
But then we simply have a back and forth dialogue. So usually the set conversation looks like this. So you come into a session and you just dream dump. You just share the
Yeah.
dream in as much detail as you want. And then I'll usually have some follow-up questions for you that are helping me clarify the details. So what I do when somebody's sharing a dream, and listeners can do this too with their friend, when their friend shares a dream, is I try to picture it like a movie in my mind.
Yeah.
And I ask, okay, what are the details that I need to fill in this movie in my mind that they haven't shared with me? So I might ask questions like, if there was a small group of people, how many people can I picture up here? How many people did you experience in the dream? Or what time of day was it? Or what side of the road am I standing on? So I ask really technical questions. But what that does is it helps the dreamer step more fully into the dream experience. And they might remember details they didn't remember before. So we expand the dream into like this 3D vision between the two of us. That's
Excellent.
my Pam talk for what's happening. And then we wander around in it together. And I usually will say, if this were my dream, this would symbolize this, and this might symbolize this, and I would wonder about that. And this feels like it might connect to my childhood. And we just go all through the dream together. And I will share my thoughts and feelings. And then the dreamer gets a chance to respond. And then I usually follow the dreamer's lead, what they're excited about, what they're curious about. That's where we go. So what I'm looking for to make it a good, complete session, what I'm watching for is really a little bit intangible, but there is this light up moment where something that we have unpacked together about the dream becomes a brand new aha for the dreamer. And they'll go, actually, that does remind me of last week when I blah, blah, blah. And then we're like, we found the connection. And then we go back and go, okay, now what's, because dreams are not just reflecting our life issues. They're making commentary on our life.
Yeah.
So it's not enough just to say, this dream happened because I saw that scary movie last week. We say, okay, this dream happened because I saw that scary movie last week. And what's the commentary that my dream is sharing with me? And how can I use that commentary going forward in waking life?
Yeah. And I really feel like that's the key, isn't it? That's where, when you start working with your dreams not so much become predictive, but I really feel like they help you co-create your life, because it's showing you where you're at, reflecting your thoughts and your feelings and past history and stuff as well, but showing, the trajectory that you're on and how you can be creative and playful about that going forward. But I feel like it's almost like getting in touch with our dreaming self brings our other half to us. It's a very
That's such a
neglected
nice way
half,
to
isn't
think
it?
about it.
And when people do say things like that, or they just discount dreams, or like you say, they say all dreams are just what we call processing dreams, helping you understand what you did through the day. But it's like, it's showing you like how complex we are and how creative we are.
Absolutely. And the thing that I want to say, I think, about that is that I love to meet people wherever they are in their journey to meeting their dreams. So some people love to tell me that they had a crazy dream, and then they follow it up with, but I also had pizza right at the last minute, right before I went to bed last night. So I'm sure that's what it was. And then they walk away.
Took cold medication.
Right, that's right. But I know it's because of that, and then they walk away and I'm like, oh, okay, yes. Because, my job is just to meet them where they are. But by bringing dreams and really the Sweet Georgia Pam brand out into the world, my goal is to let people know that there is somewhere if you want to go a little deeper. I can
Yeah.
meet you wherever you are and take
Yeah.
you 3 steps deeper. And we don't
Yeah.
have to, I'm not trying to change your world. I'm not trying to change your belief. Like
Mm.
if you're curious, come on over, so being a safe place and creating the reels and all of that is part
Yeah.
of my passion about it. And that school
Mm.
teacher mentality of everybody has to feel safe
Yeah.
before they'll open up. And dreams
Mm.
really do have the capacity to bring your hardest issue to the surface really fast.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's a reason I think that people are at first a little timid. It's
Mm.
partly because dreams kind of demand our respect that way. They're this
Mm.
unfiltered version of us.
I was going to say, yeah, it's very, they can be very private, can't they?
Mhm. Mhm.
And quite strange. Like, and dreams have no issue bringing up very personal things.
We
I
all
know
know it,
that,
don't
like,
we?
very explicit sometimes.
Yeah.
You're like,
Yeah.
okay, I don't even want to write that down. No one's going
Right.
to find that. Please, that's in the pile. In my
Yeah.
transition, somebody burn that.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. We'll just
You
keep
know,
that one to ourselves.
you do work through that, but yeah, no, I love that. And when what you're saying too, when people have a session with you, is that they have that aha moment, that insight, because it's like once you start working with your dreams, the pieces of the puzzle can just fall in together, and it's like, and like you say, that shift can happen so quickly. The other point I wanted to talk about was that we all have very I don't like saying the word. We have very active lives these days and lots of things pulling on our attention. And, usually our dream recall is first thing in the morning. And I know you
Mhm.
share lots of tips and things on how people can remember dreams, because I know that's something, people often say, oh, I never remember my dreams, or I don't have time to record them and get in that process of remembering. But what
Mhm.
I like about it is that I found that it's true, we dream thematically. So I'm like, okay, if I have a dream and I don't have time that morning to, usually I write down 3 things on a Post-it note
Oh, nice.
in my journal, but then I have to go back and sit down and write them out. But what I'm saying is, if you miss a dream and you think, you do feel like, oh, that was really clear, it was vivid, there was stuff in there, I know there's stuff going on, I know unpacking that would be useful, but I don't have the time at the moment. What I say to myself now is just relax, okay, get on with your day. Whatever is really important for you, you're going to dream that again. You're going to have a different dream, but it could be along the same theme, the same things that your dreams try to educate you about and bring to your awareness. So just relax when you go back to sleep. Maybe the next day you can plan some time and jump back in and see what happens. And it may not be the next night, but those dreams, from recording journals for so long, I've gone back and looked at themes and, build up my own dream library. So is that the way you would look at it too, or be able to reassure people like, don't stress?
Yeah, for sure. It's this balancing act of dreams are all important because they can give you these real gems of like pure gold of, moving towards your highest purpose and all of that.
Yeah,
And it's okay because they visit every night.
yeah,
Even if you don't remember them every night, I don't
mm,
remember them every night. I'm not a
mm,
prolific dreamer. But what happened was I developed a trust that my
yeah,
dreams and what you're saying, my dreaming self is bearing witness. And the
yeah,
fact that I'm dreaming means my dreaming self is also working on these issues from underneath while I'm
mm,
working on them from the wake. And when we meet, when I do happen to recall a dream and it's strong enough to stick around, that's the one that I can take the time to unpack,
yeah,
because we don't have time to just sit and unpack all of our dreams. If we remembered them all, we would just be completely overwhelmed with dream
yeah,
information.
yes,
So luckily dreams don't expire in their ability to be helpful to us.
mm.
So a lot of times people will come and say, well, I didn't have a dream this month, sorry. And I'm going, well, pick one from your childhood.
Oh,
Let's bring a
yeah,
dream from an old journal up.
yeah,
Let's look at it and see if any of
mm,
those symbols are repeating, like you're saying, like maybe
mm,
that symbol you actually didn't remember, but you had when you were, 17. So
Mm,
there's always a way to reconnect to your
yeah.
dreams, and
Mm-hmm.
creating that rhythm once a month, once a week, daily journaling, whatever the rhythm
Mm,
is, it's just creating that back and forth dialogue so that you can always just wait for the next dream to come up.
yeah. Oh, I love that. That's perfect. Um, I could talk forever with you and about dreams, and I'm sure people will be really interested. So, if you're watching this, when you're watching this, grab, write down your questions and notes. So when you do get in contact with Pam, you know what you're going to talk about. Um, but yeah, thank you. This has been absolutely terrific. Now you have something very exciting coming up, and I want you to let everybody know who's going to be watching this. And if I was in the States, like I would be sending through my ticket now.
Yeah,
I would be
that's good to
writing
hear.
that check. That would be great. So, can you tell us all about Dream and Soul, which is a really exciting retreat you have coming up in September? Would you like to tell us a bit about that?
I would be happy to tell everybody about that. Yes. So I've designed a retreat for us that is a retreat to the desert. So we are going to go into Carefree, Arizona, and there is a retreat space called Spirit in the Desert. That's the name of the retreat center. We're going to have 7-acre campus. And from September 15th through September 18th of this year, 2022, we are going to live and eat and commune together
I was going to
on
say
this
commune with the desert,
commune together in the
with the
desert.
spirit
Right.
of the desert
Right.
and each
Yes,
other.
that's
Yeah.
right. That's right. And the
Oh, I
retreat
love
is
it.
called Dream and Soul because we are going to be connecting dreams and the dreaming language with your soul and gathering new inspiration and new aspirations for where your soul is calling you to now with nature. And we're going to be we have this whole itinerary planned for the entire time, and I am so excited. So
Mhm.
I would encourage all the listeners, if you know somebody who this is good for, if you want to
Yeah.
do this, if you want to do it and bring a friend, y'all just get on the website and get all of your questions to me so we can get all the questions out of the way and you guys can just join me out there in September.
No worries. So
Yeah.
people can still get tickets. When do they need to get their ticket by?
Well, you need to get your ticket as soon as
As soon as
possible
possible. Yeah.
because of
Yeah.
course the
September's
travel
coming up
plans.
fast
That's right.
too.
That's right. Travel plans are pretty important to get on the calendar. So
No,
soon as
excellent.
possible. Yeah.
Excellent. No, that sounds absolutely brilliant. And the place, I looked at all the photos, that the place just looks divine. It just looks
Divine.
gorgeous.
Divine.
So
Well,
yeah.
Kylie, I'm going to hold out hope that when we do Dream and Soul again, maybe we can go
Mhm.
international next
There you go. Who knows?
time.
It's a good option. I mean, I don't think it's the same as actually being there. That's a different level of experience. But yeah, you just think of me this time in September, all right?
All right. All right. I'll do it.
I'll
I'll do
just
it.
be picturing you there by the pool with a nice drink, watching the sunset, just having a
Yes.
lovely time together. Now, I think
Yes.
that would be the experience of a lifetime.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, if that sounds like something you're interested in, get in touch with Pam immediately. All right. Thanks again. This has been terrific. Now I'm going to put your the links in my show notes. But
Okay.
where's the best place for people to get in touch with you? And like I said, I had a call with you, and I really love those 3 questions you asked. That really helped. I think it's the remapping guide.
Yes. Yes.
What's changed, um, where to from here. That really helped, and I did put that in my journal and journal on it. It was
Oh,
good.
good. Oh, I'm so
I think
glad.
that question, we really do need assistance and support to regroup after the last 2 years and look at, okay, well, where are we at and what's next? And
We've
that
kind of been,
question, what's changed, is deep. I love it.
yeah, we've been a bit in a collective dark night of the soul, haven't we?
Yes,
Coming, kind
definitely.
of coming to after as we're moving on from that. Yeah. So when people go to find me, obviously my website, sweetgeorgiapam.com, all spelled out.
Mm-hmm.
But if you find me on social media, just direct message me. I'm very responsive to those. And the link in my bio will take you to the place where you can find a free, direction session with me. It's a free half hour. And we look at those questions of what's changed, where were you headed, where do you think you're headed
Yeah.
now? So I would love to hear from all of you. My time is yours. So go take advantage of that.
I found it a great reset just to hear you say that, like, where is the divine in this picture, Kylie? And I was like, oh yeah, it helped so much. And sometimes, like, we've been doing this stuff for a long time, we know it, but it's like, are we actually doing it? And we just need someone to shine that light back in and go, remember, wake up again.
Yeah, we are a communal species. We have to do our inner work with each other. We need that
Definitely.
reflective back and forth work. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
No, that was so helpful. All right. Thanks again, Pam. And thank you for being my guest here today. I'm really excited to see how things unfold from this point, and for people to get in touch with you and start, working more with their dreams, or if they've never done it before, to have that lovely introduction to their dreaming self with you. Thank
Wonderful.
you.